Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. Now today we are going to be doing the loom. We're outside on the table ready. Rob's just gone to grab the loom. Do you want to bring it out, Rob? So we're just going to do, it's not too bad a job. We're going to do a little bit of splitting, take some of the extra shrouds off, cut a few plugs off, and then we'll be good to go. Or not. Is that all of it?
No.
Oh. How many are there of these?
That's the biggest one. There's another 3 more.
Okay, so ignore what I said. Today we're going to start the loom and see how we get on.
And I'll give Dom the manual.
Oh yeah, we'll have that. Is that just for the wiring?
That is just the wiring. That's 100 and...
I think it's 107 pages.
Yeah, it's quite big.
Something stupid. And it's sunny today, so we are outside in the garden. 100 and what?
About 110 pages.
Beautiful. Right. Let's jump to that intro. Now, I've heard with doing the loom, the best thing you can do is lay it out as best you can. So what we're going to try and do is untangle it somewhat. Even if we just do sections of it at a time, because I don't think it's all going to fit on the table laid out. A lot of this is like ECU. There's some engine loom.
Probably ABS.
ABS and stuff. Airbags.
Some earths. All
manners of stuff that we may or may not need. But if we can get it laid out, Dave, so Dave, if you remember back to the Blight Park video, the one with the Kawasaki green one, he said to me the best thing you can do is lay it out and do it laid out, because otherwise it'll all get tangled. I mean, it's getting tangled now and it's not bare wires. Once it's single wires, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Now, really, the only tools you need, I would recommend, which Rob doesn't have, and we've had this debate many times, is a hook knife, because you want to be able to just pop inside and just hook it. Now, do be careful with a Stanley knife. If you're not trusted to use sharp blades, then try and find an alternative. You'll also need a set of cutters, because there is cable ties and clip fixings like that and other bits around. So we'll do this as best we can. We might have to, so that's the other half of the loom.
Yep.
And it
you
is
could maybe drop that off the end
I was
of the
about
table.
to say, the problem is it's quite heavy.
And that's another part.
So we'll work on a section at a time. Between the two of us, if you want to grab a set of side cutters, what we're going to be doing first, now we've actually labelled the plugs. We need to go through them and number them, which we haven't done yet. So in the manual, there is numbers for each individual plug. It has pictures of it, and then you write a number on it. Then when you come back to it, it will say from, say, plug 4, remove the green and pink cable. And then you know, plug 4, green and pink cable, you get your tool, knock it out, and then you can pull it away, take it back and cut it out, so that you'll no longer have that cable in your loom. Because probably, not so much of this loom, but usually in most of the looms you end up taking out quite a substantial amount, because if you imagine we're going to have no interior lights, we're going to have no interior door switches, we're not going to have airbags, we're not going to have heated rear windscreen, we're not going to have all the luxuries that you have on a car that has a roof. So quite a lot of it is going to come out, and it is bright today. I am getting blinded.
I think I'm going to need some sunglasses.
I think I might need to go and grab my sunglasses. But, well, actually, to be fair, we kind of need to see what we're doing with a Stanley knife. So what we're going to do is we're going to start stripping some of this, and then we'll come back to you once we've numbered all of the plugs and strip back some of the insulation. I mean, some of them, there's a few different types. This one is like a PVC plastic shrouding, and what you normally have to do with this is just gently score. What I recommend is getting a tiny piece of the knife showing, and always cut away from yourself and just score the edge down it, and you can just literally peel it away. It's quite simple, and you don't nick the cable, and that just comes off away like that. Other times there's tape, and you'll have the stickiest fingers, won't you?
Yeah.
When you're done, and it will just literally be twisted and taped, so you can just get the tape.
Like this one here, just unwrap it.
Yeah, and here, look, just pieces of tape. You'll have literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces of tape, like this orange one. If you've got nails, don't bite them, because they'll come in handy. And then you can just unwrap them. Everything is wrapped in tape, and obviously as the tape is 20 something years old, it goes all tacky and horrible, and it's just vile. But yeah, like, get the tape off. You also want to go around and take off all those cable clips, which now I'm looking for one, I can't see one annoyingly.
There's one there.
Yeah.
Or here.
Yeah, there's these clips that are like taped in both sides, where they push into like bodywork. And there's also, yeah, there was one here, look. So you're going to be taking all of these off, and these, I mean, these are simple enough. You can either peel the tape off if you can, or you just slice either side like that, and then you can just walk it off, and then you're left with these clips as well. So we're going to start stripping, we're going to start numbering, and then we'll come back to you and show you kind of how we attack this and the kind of things you can be seen to be taking out, the way they remove cables from plugs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wish us luck. Believe it or not, it's not sunny anymore, but we are on the same day. And yeah, we're kind of getting there. I mean, you can kind of see that's roughly what we've taken out. I mean, it's literally just a bag of tape and these split ducting
all
and
sorts.
I mean, it's probably a kilo.
Oh, that's a bit of weight saving right there.
And we've got just, I mean, I'm nearly finished. Rob's been taken off of stripping duty after he
I only cut through a couple of cables.
cut for a couple rather than using a knife with a very small protrusion. He was using
brake fluid switch. We need that, don't we?
Yeah, cable cutters.
I tried to delete that.
You did. Yeah, so we're kind of at the point now where we can start going through the manual. Now, Rob will give you a rough. Do you want to give him what we've started doing?
So we pulled out a couple of it says take out orange and yellow plug, front near side wheel, and that's plug 24.
So if you find plug 24.
We found plug 24, which we already cut out. It was on the table somewhere.
Yeah, and then you've managed to pull it back to
the ABS. So this is the ABS plug. And
that's for the ABS ECU.
Yeah, so these are the wheel sensors. So we cut them out because they're going, and
hopefully eventually all of the rest of this will come out, so then this whole plug along with the wiring will be removed from the loom. What we've done is a bit of a trick that sort of Dave gave us the heads up about. He said obviously to lay it out on a big sheet of wood, but we haven't got that much space. But what we've been doing is cable tying every time it changes direction. So for instance, where that splits out of the loom and here, we've cable tied it so it can't get all bunched up, because if you can imagine, if this gets twisted through and goes through the loom, you're going to have an absolute nightmare. I mean, it's bad enough as it is having just cable everywhere, but when you lay this out, it's still pretty neat. Yeah. It just means that we won't have an absolute bird's nest, hopefully, when we come to do it.
So guys, this week's sponsor is a big shout out to Automotive Switches. They sent us over some bits to have a look at, and to be honest, the quality of them is amazing. It's like your headlight switches and your screen wash or your wipers. Well, I think that's a screen wash because it's like a spray rather than, whereas that's an on and an off. The quality of them's really nice.
Yeah, they look really clean.
And they're black anodised, they're billet aluminium, and they also come with pre-wired plugs.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd definitely recommend these. That's Automotive Switches. You can drop them a message on Facebook, Instagram. They've got a website. You can always give them a call. Very helpful guy. I actually ordered a rain light with like a sensor box, so you can use it as like a hazard light, rain light, and a high level brake light.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he was very helpful on the phone. That's Automotive Switches. Let's get him up on the wall.
Get it on the wall.
What are we saying here?
Is he tall enough?
Are we saying?
Yeah.
Is that level?
Yeah. Level enough from a distance.
Yep. There we go.
Nice one. Let's get back to the video.
Thank you very much.
We have decided to bring the party inside because we needed more space, and Rob's missus was out.
And it was raining.
Yeah, it was raining, and we had lunch. Now, we thought we'd cover some things. Now we've got it all laid out and we've kind of sussed it and the best way of attacking it so we can tell you. You need to buy yourself a pin-out set, which is, this is a cheapy one off of eBay, but it basically gives you, let's give them another view, shall we, Robbo? This gives you
there we go.
different like tools for different pins, because basically you're going to have plugs, like, say chuck us a plug that's loose.
One that we prepared earlier.
Yeah, here's one that we stripped out earlier. So in these plugs, that you can, some of them you can get to the front, some of them you can get to the back, and basically this little tool will slide down the gap and then you can pull the wire out the other side. Now this makes your life a lot easier. Some of them you will be cutting, but some of them you will be retaining the plug, say for instance like this one, you'll be retaining this plug and you only need to remove certain cables. Now you can just snip them tight to it, but then that leaves the potential for it to earth out or short out or cause you some sort of interference in the future. Types of joints.
We've got a multi-joint. Which camera are we going to? Should we go to this one? So this is a multi-joint.
Which is basically like a sort of a spadey kind of connector onto multiple cables. Usually there's 5 or 6. I mean, if you look, because we have the power, like this one here, where there's multiple cables, there's a pink one here where there's 1 going in and then 3 coming away. And it's basically just a crimp with loads of cables in. There's hundreds of them in the loom once you start looking. So when it says multi-joint, go to the nearest multi-joint, that's what you're looking for.
Yep. Then you've got relays, obviously, with plugs, so they're your relays.
Yep.
Then we've got the passenger side fuse box. Obviously, there's 2 different things. You've got a main fuse box plug and a passenger fuse box. So always make sure that you're cutting.
And these actually have names and bits and bobs on.
Make sure you're pulling the right one out at the time.
Yeah, I mean we've got behind Rob. This is some of what we've removed. One of them is the ABS plug, which is this absolute monster of a thing.
So we've pulled all of that loom out because obviously we're not going to have ABS, so that's ideal.
And that's kind of how we're attacking it. I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted. If you're not a big fan of electrical and you're worrying about it, then the loom may be the best option. How much was the loom, Rob?
What do you mean? To buy?
Yeah.
Well,
there was an option, wasn't there? It was like
I think it was 500 and something £, but then that's just your chassis loom, isn't it? Because you'll still need the engine loom with the ECU, unless you go full standalone, and then you're talking probably upwards of £1,000.
Don't get me wrong, fully manageable.
Yeah. There's a guide.
You've got to take your time because the guide, it's a couple of them, it has the wrong numbers of the plug. Like one page it'll be referring to as one number, the next page it'll be another number, or it'll have a picture. Let me show you. It'll have a picture
saying plug.
Saying a plug number, and then underneath it will say, I'll remove the red wire, but there'll be no red wire. But it's because it's referring to a different one. So you have to be a little bit careful.
And then also, by the time of this being published, it actually tells you to remove your speed sensor, which I know quite a few of the other guys have already done. And obviously we've managed not to do that because they've told us not to do it. But in the manual or guide, it tells you to basically remove your speed sensor.
Which is a pair, which is, I think, is it D2? I think it's this 26. It's this yellow and...
No.
Yellow and orange, or is it the D2
It's from this one. So
okay. Yeah,
that goes onto your cluster in the dashboard if you're using the Mx5 one. And that basically tells you to remove your speed sensor. So if you are going to attack it, always drop us a message and we can tell you which ones not to pull out. But hopefully Neil and the guys at MK will update the manual and remove that section. But you never know.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's been very, very helpful. Where we've gone round and we've put little tiny labels on everything saying it is what it is. When we've come to remove stuff, if you want to grab something random, it doesn't matter what. So like this one here says ABS pump. So we know for a fact when we're cutting wires or it says pull out this plug, you know, just as a quick glance, it's the ABS plug or it's a traction or it's something that we're not going to need.
So when you strip the car, obviously, definitely worth labelling up as much as you possibly can.
The extra hour or whatever is going to save you quite a bit of time, especially when you're looking. Especially when you're looking for stuff, because this will give you an idea of what you're doing. So it'll say like,
he's got his
phone on silent. Heated rear window relay, and we'll have written on it heated rear window, so it won't take us because it says here like
plug 31, and you're like. We've got 60 plugs here. Where's plug 31?
Exactly. So it definitely, and it's also nice when you pick it up, make sure you haven't numbered it wrong because it's quite easy to number it wrong. Whereas if it's attached to the window, it's quite easy to write window. You going to help us find the plugs, mate? No. He's going to go to bed. But I mean, we've probably already removed what, a third?
Yeah, I'd say. Look at this. That's a lot of.
And we're not finished. We've still got.
That is a lot of cable.
Probably 40 odd pages left. So.
Look at all that weight saving.
Yeah, although we do need to put some of it back in because there's a couple we need to extend.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a couple that we need to still remove.
Well, and there's a couple we need to fix where I got a bit trigger happy with the snippers when we were stripping it. So
yeah, take your time stripping and don't
be a bit careful. Don't let me do it.
But yeah, that is the loom. Obviously, we're not going to show you every single plug, but it is a case of just going through it. If you're not sure, leave it, come back to it. What we've been doing, which has been helpful, is highlighting it once it's done.
Yep.
And what we're probably going to do is take the ring bound off and just take each page out when it's been fully completed.
Yeah.
And then we're just left with pages that we haven't, and we can just go back. Because there's a few ones where we've gone,
Well, and it's stuff like extending, so you've got
Yeah.
a cable there, and you have to. It's 2 meters long, but apparently it just goes from one plug to another, and it can be a foot long. So
Yeah,
we haven't done a joint there yet until we put it into the car, know
Yeah.
where it's going, then we can run it.
yeah, because we want to get exact lengths,
Yeah.
because that way it's just going to be a little bit neater.
Yeah, definitely.
If we have to run it slightly longer and clip it, then we can just run the cable in rather than, because we've had an issue before when we've been given lengths and then cut everything
Yes.
to length and it wasn't quite 100%. So definitely more cautious this time. But yeah, so that's the loom. Hope you found this video interesting. We've enjoyed it somewhat.
Somewhat.
It's definitely
An eye opener?
yeah,
Into car electrics?
and a brain scratcher, head scratcher
Yes,
one, isn't it? For
For
sure.
sure.
But yeah, any questions, guys? You know, always down in the comments. We'll be more than happy to cut the BS and tell you how it is. It's not a problem.
Or follow me on Instagram for Kit Build, I think it's called. What's it called? Oh, that's bad.
You don't even know what your Instagram page is called. Well, I'll put it down in the description, a little linky link.
Let's
so
have a
you can
little look so we can
have a
actually
go.
tell you.
You're murder.
It is
You check me out, guys.
there we go.
The Parrott Bros on Instagram, yeah?
kitcar_build. And then you can always private message me about any questions for the loom or anything with the build. We'll always drop back to you.
Until the next one, guys. Bye for now.